Inside the Magic Show number 461 for February 2nd, 2014. It is Sunday, February 2nd, 2014. This is show 461 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I am your host, Ricky Briganti, with another fun show with all kinds of Disney and theme park goodies. And before we get to all of it, I invite you to visit the website, our website, at InsideTheMagic.net. There you'll find all podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and plenty more. And if you ever have any news, tips, questions, or anything else you want to send in, you can email me at ricky@InsideTheMagic.net, or you can call and leave a message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you once again by Magical Travel. Escape to your own carefree tropical getaway with Disney Cruise Line and save 20% off prevailing rates on select 3- and 4-night Bahamian cruises sailing from Port Canaveral in early 2014. Don't let this offer sail by. Call Magical Travel today at 866-207-8387. Or visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And when you do that, be sure to mention Inside the Magic to receive a free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And thanks very much to all contributors to Inside the Magic, monthly donation subscribers, single donations, etc. It all supports all of this. I thank you. And now, let's get started with a trip around the world. So today is big football game Sunday, Super Bowl and all that. Have really nothing else to share about that because it has almost nothing to do with Disney other than surely later today, maybe tomorrow morning, we'll have a I'm going to Disney type of commercial ad. And I'm sure the MVP of the Super Bowl will be at the Magic Kingdom at some point in the next few days. But, of course, recording this earlier on Sunday, and I have no idea who that is. I don't even know who's playing in the Super Bowl. I think Broncos and someone. I don't know. Regardless, that's today. So, exciting, I guess. So moving on from there to other more interesting news. Actually, this is a really exciting news, potentially, hopefully. It was just making the way around over the last couple of days that the Disney Afternoon classic animated series Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is apparently going to be made into a feature film. Of course, you know Rescue Rangers from the Disney Afternoon. So yeah, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers apparently is in the works to become not a 2D animated feature film, but rather a live-action / CG film, similar to, let's say, the Smurfs that was out fairly recently. An odd choice there. I think a lot of people would prefer it to be the old style, but could be good. Hopefully they'll do it well. The film is being described as being an origin story, basically telling how the Rescue Rangers came to be. The script is being written by a man named Rob Rugen, who apparently has directed a number of TV commercials. He pitched the idea to Disney, and they said, yeah, let's do it. On Twitter, it was kind of an interesting little exchange between Rugen and Tad Stones, who was one of the writers, producers, and creators of the original Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, a TV series years ago. He wrote to Rugen on Twitter, Tad did, and said, congratulations on Rescue Rangers. Those commercials and shorts show that you've got sustainability for the job. Take care of my kids. So, producing the Rescue Rangers movie will be Mandeville Films and Television, who have been working on the Muppets films for Disney. So there is a connection there. First Muppets movie was good. Second one's coming out next month. Hopefully it will be just as good. And of course I say first Muppets movie relatively speaking. Obviously, there have been many Muppets movies, but the Muppets that recently came out. Anyway, so I'm guardedly excited. I love Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, certainly, and hopefully it will be well done. There's no details, no dates, none of that. It's just down the line sometime. Okay, away from movies now, over to Disney Cruise Line, where this past Halloween season, aboard just one of the ships, Disney Cruise Line was trying out something called Halloween on the High Seas. It did very well, and now they are expanding this year to all 4 Disney Cruise Line cruise ships with Halloween on the High Seas, as well as very maritime cruises, so Halloween and Christmas special cruises. Very exciting news there. Some of the entertainment that'll be aboard the Halloween on the High Seas cruises will be Mickey's Masquerade Party, A Nightmare Before Christmas Sing and Scream, featuring appearances with Jack and Sally, Haunted Stories of the Sea, up on deck, a creepy cabaret, a bit of a villainous takeover of the dance floor for adults in the adult areas of the ships, spooky movies, ghoulish delights, and other Halloween-y type fun. The dates in which all of this will be happening depend on the ships and the itineraries, etc., but it's roughly near the end of September through Halloween. So October is a good way to look at it, with a little bit of September. So you can head over to InsideTheMagic.net to see all the details and the dates and all of that. Then we move to the Christmas cruises that'll be coming up at the end of the year. Obviously, we're talking many months from now. The very maritime cruises, again, on all 4 Disney Cruise Line ships, and it'll be starting in late November is when these Christmas cruises will take over, including King Triton's tree lighting ceremony in the atriums, the lobbies, a bunch of family holiday activities with crafts and storytellers. There'll be a Deck the Deck holiday party, including the Yuletide slide and conga line and all that stuff. Till we meet again will be a farewell that will have some extra holiday cheer associated with it. There's also going to be some special Thanksgiving Day activities. You happen to be on one of the ships on Thanksgiving. There'll be carolers and Santa and elves, etc., etc. Snow flurries even. So some pretty exciting things this year to make Disney Cruise Line that much more entertaining. Now out here at the parks in Orlando, Walt Disney World is in the midst of rolling out FastPass Plus, My Magic Plus, Magic Bands, My Disney Experience, all those things, and it is still very much in testing at the moment. Let me just take a step back here and encourage everybody to, if you're going to go out there and you're going to read the many reports that are out there, people writing endless rants and articles and whatever about their experiences with the system, keep in mind while you're reading these that it's not done. It is still in testing. So anything that may be worth griping about right now may not be true 2 days from now. It's Disney is slowly rolling out this system. They've moved it to all the hotels at Walt Disney World. They're now just within the last few days starting to enlist the help of a few annual pass holders to start to integrate them into the system as well. But it is little by little, and they're tweaking things as they go. So details that you're reading about now might not be true a week or two from now. So definitely take it all, with a grain of salt at the moment. That if you're planning a trip, 10 months from now, reading about FastPass Plus right now probably not going to help you too much, because chances are pretty good it's going to be different by then. But point being, with all of this, just a couple of days ago, all Walt Disney World annual pass holders received an email basically saying, welcome to My Magic Plus. It's a new pass holder news flash series, as they're calling it, basically trying to get out the information when Disney is ready to put it out, as opposed to just running off to the parks and trying to get involved with things that they're not ready for you to be involved with quite yet. So essentially at this point, they did say that some pass holders are getting access to things, but for the most part, visiting the kiosks in the parks at the moment for annual pass holders are the way to schedule your FastPass Plus appointments and all of that. So it will certainly be interesting to see when Disney decides to officially roll this out and say, hey, guess what? It's in a stable state. We're done testing. We're now really making it happen. And at that point, I'll be excited to really take a closer look at it. But until then, I'll just take a step back and kind of watch everybody complain about things that are not final, because it's happening a lot. It tends to happen a lot in the Disney fan community. Lots of complaining. So I'll stay clear of all that and just kind of wait. If you are coming in the near future, however, you may experience some good things. You may experience some bad things about the new FastPass system. It's certainly worth noting that the old paper FastPass tickets are no longer available in any of the parks out here at Walt Disney World. So don't expect any of your old FastPass tricks to work anymore. It's time to learn a new system. Now, speaking of large investments into the parks, of course, it has been said that Disney has been investing over $1 billion into this MyMagic Plus system, which is more than just the FastPass system. There's more to come in the future, but into the MyMagic Plus. Well, meanwhile, this week in an earnings report, Comcast, who is, of course, owning NBC Universal, owning the Universal Studios parks, Comcast said that they are planning to invest $1 billion in capital expenditures this year, largely because of the theme parks. Of course, Harry Potter Diagon Alley is a big part of that, so is Cabana Bay, so is whatever else we don't know about yet, City Walk restaurants, etc., and all the stuff going on overseas and in Hollywood. There's a lot going on at Universal's parks constantly, it seems like, and from what I understand, there's going to be some even bigger things coming up. Well, maybe not bigger, but more big things coming up in the months and years to come. So Comcast is there and ready to dump money in, seemingly endlessly, into the Universal parks, which is a good thing for competition. I imagine sometime in the next few years we'll hear a Disney response to all of that in the form of 2 words, Star Wars. But we'll wait and see on that. Back to movies now. If you're out in Los Angeles area and Hollywood, not only can you see the sing-along version of Frozen that is now out in theaters, not only out there, but in a lot of theaters nationwide, but if you're going to go to the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood, you can see a very special version of Get a Horse, the excellent the short film that plays before Frozen. By the way, both Frozen and Get a Horse won all kinds of Annie Awards last night, the Animation Awards. Anyway, Get a Horse is playing with the mighty Wurlitzer organ, accompanying it with the musical stylings of Rob Richards, who is the house organist for El Capitan, as well as part of the American Theater Organ Society. He is actually the organist of the year for them, the theater pipe organist of the year. Anyway, so there's a new organ accompaniment that's going to play live on that Wurlitzer organ inside the El Capitan while Get a Horse is playing. So that's pretty cool to see sort of this silent filmy type experience with the live organ. That's going to take place only through February 13th at the El Capitan, so you're going to want to go check that out ASAP. Now, you've been hearing some Spaceship Earth music, old Spaceship Earth music in the background here, and there's a very good reason for that. And this is just sort of a vague Disney connection here, but Jeremy Irons, of course, former narrator of Spaceship Earth and actor, it was announced just a couple of days ago that he is going to play Alfred in the upcoming Batman vs. Superman, maybe Wonder Woman, whatever the movie is. He's going to play Alfred in the film. Of course, everybody was pretty excited about that. Everyone was not so excited about the announcement of Jesse Eisenberg to play Lex Luthor. I'm intrigued. I'll wait and see how that goes. But regardless, Jeremy Irons is the one who has the vague Disney connection. Of course, Jeremy Irons also was the voice of Scar. So, yeah, he's part of Disney history for sure. And, so there's your small Disney connection to Batman and Superman. Likewise, speaking of Spaceship Earth and music and all of that, a frequent Disney composer, Bruce Broughton, who of course has worked on Spaceship Earth music as well as many other things for Disney, just a few days ago it was announced that he has actually now lost his Oscar nomination for his song that was going to be nominated this year. Apparently there was quite a lot of outcry following this sort of what he calls a grassroots campaign to get the Oscar nod in the first place, in which he was sort of enlisting, sending out emails to people who would vote for such things, saying, hey, I have this song, you might want to consider it, and maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. He, basically is fighting back, saying, no, it was fine because all these big studios have these big advertising budgets and can do the for your consideration ads in industry publications, and being a small guy, as he was saying, he's got to do what he got to do, but it didn't work out so well, so that Oscar nomination has been pulled with no replacement. So that's actually I guess better news for Let It Go from Frozen. There's a better chance, not as if it wasn't already a good chance, but there's a slightly better chance now that Let It Go will win that Best Song award. Last bit of news this week is that in conjunction with the South by Southwest Film Festival, in early March 7th through March 11th. Mondo, the art people that sell out so fast every time they put anything up, in collaboration with Disney's Oh My Disney blog, are going to have a gallery of all kinds of fun Disney artwork. They haven't showed all of it off yet, but there's definitely some interesting pieces, and as always, I'm sure they will, if they go online, they will sell out very, very quickly. Literally, Mondo prints usually sell out in like 10 seconds. I'm not exaggerating, like literally 10 seconds, so it's tough to get them, but it's worth looking into. I'm sure they'll have some nice stuff. And that'll do it for news from around the world this week. Here's a good tip that comes in from DC, who writes, I just wanted to thank you for the amazing site and podcast. I get excited every week for a new episode, and I wanted to give your listeners a little tip. I have been a parade and show performer for many years now. Part of what keeps me performing and loving it is seeing guests smile and the magic I get to spread. And one thing we performers truly love is getting feedback from our guests. If you had an amazing experience with a performer or a parade, please email Disney and let them know. Before every parade, our stage managers read us guest letters, and it really pumps us up and makes dancing in the Florida heat completely bearable. Great tip there. Not only sending those emails after the fact, also stop by, say you're at the Magic Kingdom, stop by City Hall, and if there was one particular performer or just the whole experience in general that you really enjoyed, it really does help boost everybody's sort of sense of Disney magic behind the scenes when you offer some praise, because so many people go to complain. Certainly, it's easy. Something goes wrong, you want to immediately go and make it right and complain, but you don't necessarily always go out of your way to just sort of praise things that went extra well for you. So definitely a good tip there. Everybody else, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. A couple of weeks ago, I talked pretty extensively about the Avatar project that is going into Disney's Animal Kingdom because a groundbreaking took place recently. That means it is officially a go. Disney is under construction on Pandora, replacing Camp Minnie Mickey at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And it's all fine and good for you to hear my thoughts on the area, but I've got some much more important people to share their thoughts on why Avatar is exactly perfectly right for Disney's Animal Kingdom, or so they think. Your opinion may differ. So what I'm going to share with you now is a talk that was delivered just a few days ago to cast members at Disney's Animal Kingdom by lead Imagineer on Disney's Animal Kingdom and on the Avatar project, Joe Rohde, as well as the producer of the Avatar films, Jon Landau. Couldn't ask for better people to chime in on the subject, and it is quite interesting. Now, they didn't really reveal any new details about what's going to be going into Pandora. We already know essentially what they said, though they kind of solidified and confirmed some of the attractions that will be in there. But more importantly, it's a talk about just how the world of Avatar fits in with Walt Disney World, with Disney's Animal Kingdom, and with Disney in general. That's really the question that so many have been asking since more than 2 years ago when Disney first made the announcement that they're partnering up with director James Cameron and bringing Avatar to life in a theme park. Everyone went, huh? Why? Why are they doing that? What does this have to do with Disney? And so this was really an attempt by Joe Rohde and Jon Landau to get the cast members of the park excited about it, so that then they can then deliver that excitement to all of the guests who I'm sure are now going to the park and saying, what's going on over here? Why are they doing this? Yeah. So anyway, without further ado, here are Imagineer Joe Rohde and producer Jon Landau talking about Avatar coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom.
So you guys are seeing walls out there, you're seeing walls pop up. If you're out on the social media sites, you're reading blogs, most of them are very good. We'll switch those final people over shortly. You might see some celebrities walking around our park. Anyone? Well, I scooped up a couple of them. We got them here. I'm going to introduce them in a second. But things are changing, and this is fantastic. It's an exciting time for us all here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. If you were watching the blogs, if you were looking at our internal social media, you probably saw groundbreaking for Avatar. How many saw that? Well, to get things kicked off, I want to roll a quick reel that shows you what happened down in Camp Mini Mickey and what's in store for us. So let's roll that clip. 1, 2, 3. So, we are here tonight to watch Avatar. And Avatar, for all of you that may not know, this is the top grossing film of all time. So I was speaking with Jon Landau. Jon Landau's here with us today. We're going to bring him out on stage in a second. And I said, so is that, can I say that? Is that still the fact? Is Avatar the #1 grossing film of all time? He said, yeah. And he quickly reminded me, Josh, do you know what the #2 grossing film of all time is? What do you think he said next? So you know who produced that? Jon Landau. Look at that. He's going to be up here on stage. He's got the 2 top grossing films of all time. So we are going to be watching Pandora. But as I hope most of you guys know, there's a lot more going on in this park than Pandora coming in. But Avatar is going to create a huge platform for us to talk about this fantastic park that we have. I wanted to spend just a minute on that for a second. You see, just a couple minutes ago, there's a logo up on the screen with a tree saying that we're growing. This park is going to go through a lot of change. And a lot of you guys have heard me say this before. I love this park. There's absolutely no other place that I would rather be. I love everything about it. I love the mission that this park has. I love the cast members here. I love the fact that when guests walk through these gates, whether they know it or not, when they leave, they will leave different. They've learned something about themselves, they've learned something about the world, and I truly believe that, and I think that makes all of us feel really good being here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Just a couple months ago, I was in a meeting with some of my team, and we were talking about this. Why is this place so special? And Dr. Mark Penning, who some of you I think may know on our animals team, said, this place has got soul. It's got soul. And so what's going to be very important for all of us is we get this unbelievable franchise of Avatar coming to mesh with us. That we take that soul that we have today and we see it all the way through to expansion. So that when there are many, many more casts than we see here today, when there are big spotlights shining on us, that same heart, that same soul, that same passion is right there with us when we arrive at this big park. It's very, very important to me. So anyway, we're going to get to see Avatar tonight. I want to bring out our 2 very special guests. So Mr. Joe Rohde.
Before you get started, I just want everybody to know I also produce Campus Man. There you go, it's not really perspective.
Very good. Let me just say a couple things about these guys. First, with Joe, you know, I've had an opportunity to work a little bit with Joe before I got here to Disney's Animal Kingdom, but then over the course of the last almost year now that I've been here, spent a ton of time with Joe. I got to tell you guys, we are exceptionally lucky to have his creative mind here working with us. I talk about the soul, I talk about the passion for what we do, and he keeps that energy alive, and will continue to keep that energy alive as we usher through the expansion that we're about to see. John, you guys haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time with, if any time, and I hadn't either until the last couple of months or so. And I had a chance to walk Camp Mini Mickey with him just a few weeks back, and then have a chance to sit down in some meetings with him. I want to let you know a couple things about John. Yes, he's a big-time producer, and that can be a little bit intimidating when you first meet him. But when you do meet him and talk to him, man, what an incredible guy, what a down-to-earth guy, and what a Disney freak. This guy loves Disney. And as we were walking around Camp Mini Mickey, me that first time. I can remember you paying attention to things that I was doing, whether it was bending down to pick up some trash or stepping aside to take pictures of some of our guests, and him coming to me and saying, that's why I love Disney. You guys think of everything, your guest service, what you mean from an experiential perspective to your guests is incredible. And so now to see this collaboration that we have, not only this great film, but these great people and the collaboration that we're starting to see come together, it's just going to be huge for us. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So we have these two celebrities here with us tonight, and what I would ask you guys to do, if you could, is we just saw the groundbreaking moment a second ago. I'd love to hear from both of you on how that felt and what it means. I'd also like to hear a little bit, Joe, maybe from you about your perspective on Avatar and how it fits into the park, and John, you could chime in there as well. And then finally, before we put the film on, John, it'd be great if you could share with our cast and their families here maybe some things to look out for in the film as they might relate back to Disney's Animal Kingdom. So go ahead, why don't you kick off?
Well, first, Josh hit the nail on the head. I am a Disneyite. My favorite times of going here, my favorite memories over the past 6 months have been trips down here. But what Josh is also right is what makes it special are the people you interact with. Everybody that I have dealt with here has been phenomenal, and to that I want to say thank you to everybody that's out there. I also want to thank Joe and his incredible team, because they have made us a part of this process. And for Jim and I, it has been a collaboration. We didn't know what it would be like, and they have really opened up their doors, their resources, and let us share our ideas in a collaborative, iterative way. And I think just the same way that we wanted to use technology to break new ground and tell new stories with the movies, that's what Joe and his team are creating here with what they're doing, not just in Pandora, but throughout the park. And I look forward to pressing things, pushing technologies, and really giving guests an unprecedented themed experience, thanks to the collaboration we've had with Joe and his team.
Yeah, for me, the partnership has been extraordinary. I do believe it's probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It is an entire creative organization with its own art directors, with its own storytellers, with its own technicians and engineers, fusing with ours, and the result of that, I think, is going to be very, very exciting. For me, the groundbreaking moment, I like to build things. It's all fine to talk, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, blue sky and pictures and meetings. I want to build stuff. That is what I'm here to do, build things. And so, for me, this is a big moment when this turns really real, and from here on out, which is an incredible slog, we are doing it. We are going to make this happen, which is very exciting. Really intimidating, because it's really technically mind-bogglingly hard to do, but very exciting because we're going to do it now. It's not, we're doing it. So I think that's great. I don't know, do you want me to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it'd be great if you could just kind of share your perspective on, so why Avatar and how does it fit into the park and attach to that?
Some of you probably heard some of this, but it looks like no more than 10% of what this house holds. I want to be clear, Animal Kingdom, any good story, by the way, not just Animal Kingdom, any good story is about something. Something is underneath the plot. Something is underneath the character, underneath the setting. And that inner value, that inner idea that a story is about, that's where the strength of that story comes from. That's why you can listen to a story that unfolds over a long period of time, because you can see this pattern of meaning emerging out of the story, that it means something. And Animal Kingdom means certain things. The design of Animal Kingdom is very deliberately and very consciously built around a certain set of ideas. And once you start looking at Animal Kingdom with these ideas in mind, it becomes very clear that it is based on these ideas. The first idea, the first theme of Animal Kingdom is this notion of the intrinsic value of nature, the supreme value of nature. The idea that no other value can be held up against nature and trump it. Nature is going to be a more powerful and more valuable value than anything else you see around it. And that's one of the reasons the park is much more landscape-based than architecture-based. That's the reason when a tree falls over in Animal Kingdom, we might just let it lie there and turn back into soil. That's why the park has this sort of unrehearsed quality, why the buildings look like they're crumbling and succumbing to the forces of nature, because we want that sense of the power and primacy of nature to infuse the entire park. So that's one value system. And it goes down to the tiniest little details. Once you just start making comparisons, you can ask yourself, would that thing made of wood? Would that thing be made of stainless steel? And you'll see that these design decisions are down to a very fine gradation. The second value system is this notion of transformation through adventure. The idea that if you go somewhere you've never been before, try something you've never done before, see something you've never seen before, that experience alone makes you a new person. You're transformed. If you go out and seek adventure, adventure itself will change you and you will be transformed. And the park has that adventure motif. We have stories that are unreconciled. We have, you go out on the safari, something new happens every single day, which I love. And so we want, and it's part of the reason why the park has that look. Big chunks of the park have that look that kind of looks like nobody's in charge, like nobody's taking care of it, because that's adventure too, so that's another theme. And then the third theme is this sense of a personal call to action. Most of the stories that happen at Animal Kingdom are about you. It's about you. It's happening to you. We don't tell a lot of stories that are stories about some beloved or non-beloved third person and what happened to them. Our stories are about you and what's happening to you, and we believe that if you put these three together, you come to a place that is built about the supreme value of nature, in which you undergo a transformation because you set forth on adventure. When you receive a call to action, you will act on behalf of nature, since it is a supreme value. So it is kind of a big construction. Now, tonight you're going to watch Avatar. In a second, I'll turn it over to John to talk more about that. But when you watch this film, I want you to think about these three values as you watch that story unfold. The intrinsic value of nature, the idea that nature is a greater value than any value you can hold up against it. Transformation through adventure, the idea that you go out and engage that which you do not know, you will be transformed and made better, and a personal call to action. And I think you'll see that the underlying value of this film sits squarely on top of the values of Animal Kingdom, and is not just kind of a nice fit, but actually an extraordinarily smooth and very clear and vivid expression of the underlying value systems of the park. And I won't go on at more length than that. This is an extraordinary opportunity coming at us very quickly for us to take the core ideas of this park and express them to the country and the world in an illustration through Avatar that is so incredibly vivid that it will bring added value to the entire place.
When we first started talking to Bob and Tom and discussions about doing this, we didn't know what land, what park we would end up in. And we could have ended up in the Hollywood studios, we could have ended up somewhere else, but they made a conscious decision to put us here at Animal Kingdom. And I am so thrilled by that, because I think together we're going to create something that is going to be remarkable. I think it's going to be an awakening for people to realize that what already exists here, and I think we're going to give an opportunity for new people to come and see things. If you really think about it, to me, Avatar is not coming here. Pandora is coming here. We are going to give people an opportunity to go to Pandora, to experience, and that's what we found when people came out of the movie. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to go back to Pandora. They wanted to experience it again. So we're going to be able to do that through our Banshee flying ride. We're going to be able to do that by taking people deeper into the rainforest and seeing the bioluminescence day or night. We're going to be able to do that because the land itself is truly an attraction. It's going to be interactive. It's going to give people the opportunity to feel like they are truly in another world. And that is all thanks to the people at Imagineering and Josh and the team here saying, yes, we're embracing this idea and we want to support that. In Avatar, the movie opens and closes, you'll see it tonight, with Jake's eyes opening. And I view the movie as a challenge to people to open their eyes and to see that they have an impact on others around them and the world around them. And I think that when we do this together, we're going to cause people, once again, to open their eyes and realize that they can make a difference in the world. And I'm thrilled to be a part of that.
Just one other thing that you will see in the film, and I think it's a role that all of you play in this, and it's a very important role. This also is a film about the discovery and inclusion of a community. I mean, you just watch. There's an arc here of a character who starts out extraordinarily alone, deprived of family, deprived of communication, and who finds a community and becomes part of something. All of that is the job of you who actually relate to the guests who come in the door. The community, we build stuff. We build stuff in the end. We build plastic things and concrete things and things made of steel and stuff that you plug in and it does stuff. The life of this place, and this is why I like Animal Kingdom, is really the, frankly, only partially controlled natural behavior of the inhabitants of the park, some of whom are animals, and the rest of whom are all of you. And I like it like that. So I'm hoping that you also pay attention to this idea of inclusion, of community, of being welcomed and embraced and taken in, because that's really the job we want to do when this thing opens, is to make people feel that they have been honestly and sincerely welcomed and taken in by us into a world that is valid, that is believable and valid, and that has a value that they can depend on and feel is real.
To that end, I encourage all of you in the months, years leading up to the opening of the park, do whatever you can to learn about, an indigenous culture somewhere where strangers might go. Rainforest, what does it really mean to be a part of a rainforest? Learn all the things. And apply that when you interact with the guests. I'll tell you with our cast, because again, movies are not about technology, movies are not about environments, movies are about the close-up. And that's our cast. And we took our cast into the rainforest as part of a rehearsal process. I want to share a funny story with you, because we thought it was important for them to have that experience, to know what it really felt like. The first day we were going out into the rainforest, we came across a clear-cutting operation. And we just sat there and we watched it. And we went up to the people driving the tractors that were plowing down these trees, why they were doing it. They couldn't tell us. They didn't know, they were just hired to do it. That had a profound impact on all of us as we went through the rest of the days of the rehearsals. On our last day, though, in the rainforest, we were out there, and Sam Worthington, played Jake in the movie. He was out there, we had him dressed in a little loincloth, a really bad wig, a rubber bow in his hand, and Jim Cameron was off to the side with a little video camera, with a little Sony Handycam filming it. And sure enough, there's a guy out there walking his dog. The guy looks at Sam in this outfit and goes, "What are you doing?" Sam proudly says, "We're making a movie, mate." "We're making a movie?" Sam goes, "Yeah, you see that guy over there?" And he points to Jim. He goes, "That's Jim Cameron. He made Titanic." The guy goes, "Boy, he's gone downhill." But I can't tell you, though, when we went through the process of making the movie, where we did the performance capture on our stage, and we didn't have any of the rainforest with us, how important those days were, where we immersed our cast in that environment. So I just keep that in mind as we move forward.
Thank you. All right, thank you guys both. Guys, we're going to take a couple minutes here to get things set up for the film. Before I do that, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all of you guys. If you have family members or friends here, family member or friends, these cast members are incredible. We just got through a holiday season that was spectacular. We wowed our guests. We have a whole bunch of new stuff going on. You guys just keep doing it so well every single day, and I'm so proud of this park and proud of everything that you guys are doing. So thank you for that. Please enjoy the show. There's much more of this stuff to come as we make our way through this expansion. And remember to keep in mind that soul. We got to keep that soul this whole way through. Thank you guys. Enjoy the show.
Very interesting things said there. Really bringing together the world of Avatar with the core values, as Rohde said, of Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's interesting to hear him talk about those values that kind of go on behind the scenes, behind the story, behind everything that brings Animal Kingdom experiences together. Of course, he's the guy who was in charge of crafting all of that. Also, to see it from his perspective is really interesting and a bit eye-opening as well. And how he sees it, how Avatar fits in. What was really important there, I think, was when Jon Landau said that they are not bringing Avatar to Animal Kingdom, they're bringing Pandora to Animal Kingdom. This is kind of what I've been saying since the announcement, is that Disney is not... It's not about bringing the movie or the movies to the park. It's about bringing the experience of being there to the park. And that's, I mean, Pandora certainly looks like an interesting place, certainly very much rooted in nature and a lot of the other values that Rohde was speaking about. So in that sense, if you can kind of put aside whether or not you liked the films themselves and just focus on the land and the characters and the essence of the placemaking that is there. In that sense, I think it can be fun. Of course, if they do go too far into the exact sort of fitting in with the movies and the tie-ins and all of that, then that could be another story. It's certainly not the first time James Cameron film series has been brought to a theme park. Universal has had Terminator 2 3D for many years, and that's been one of my favorite attractions since I've been coming to theme parks pretty much since its has existed. And so, I'm a huge Terminator fan to begin with, so I was excited about that franchise in a park. Avatar, I'm not excited that much about Avatar, but Pandora sounds like it could be interesting. So there's your update for now. I should most importantly say here a big thank you to John over at bigfatpanda.com for supplying that audio for this week's show. If you want to see video of that presentation, definitely head over to that website again, bigfatpanda.com.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky. Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic Listener Feedback.
While I'm talking about Panda, I was also on his latest show. I think it was episode 7. So if you want to see sort of a little conversation between me and the Big Fat Panda himself, definitely, again, check out that website and his YouTube channel, and you can see some fun and some comedy and that kind of thing. So good times. All right, let's get to some emails and messages and all that right now, starting with Paul from the UK, who writes, just wanted to send you a quick email to say thanks for asking the listeners for our opinions on the podcast. This is in reference to a few weeks ago, I guess. I much preferred this week's more concise restaurant review, keeping your thoughts on the dishes without any public relations interview from the Disney staff. Shame you had to spoil it by using the word immersive. Paul, yeah, it's true. I definitely will try to cut back on the number of interviews that don't actually say anything at all, that it's just a lot of fluff. It can be frustrating at times when Disney will present, say, an opportunity to go and interview people about certain topics that sound very interesting, and then when I show up, the only people they have available to talk about it are people who are almost reading off of a script. They have their approved things to say, and that's all they can say. And it's understandable from a big corporation's perspective that they have their message that they want to deliver, and it's not necessarily the things that people want to hear or care about hearing or haven't already heard 50 times over. But it's what it's all they want to say. And then sometimes there is a little bit more flexibility for some more people that were hands-on with experiences that are more interesting to hear from. So I will certainly try to stay on top of only the most interesting interviews moving forward. Austin writes in and says, I've been a long-time listener, and I was curious what you thought of this. If the film Maleficent does well, do you think Disney will do the same gritty-style movie for some of the other villains, Captain Hook, Jafar? If so, do you think those would be successful? Austin, a really interesting question there. I know Angelina Jolie has been sort of on board with this concept of being Maleficent for quite a while, and it just sort of fell into place there. Would it happen with other villains? I kind of hope not. I mean, this movie looks quite good. I hope it is really good, but I wouldn't want it to start a trend of just kind of arbitrarily choosing from the library of Disney villains and focusing on them. I mean, they're already sort of doing that with Star Wars. They're saying they're going to go into the backstory and the individual character films, and it's really hard to say if that's a good thing or not. If they end up being really fantastic films, then we're going to look back and be like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. I want to see a film for every single character. But sometimes the overall story is more important. I mean, do we really want to see an entire movie about Jafar? I mean, Aladdin is a great movie, one of my favorite Disney animated movies, but I don't know that I want to see an hour and a half or 2 hours of Jafar just kind of being grumpy and you know, waving his... even it's like a backstory of how Jafar... I don't really kind of care how Jafar came to be. I mean, he is who he is, and that's the Jafar that we know. So it just depends on the character, I guess. You bring up Captain Hook, and we are going to see a young Captain Hook in this upcoming Disney Fairies animated pirate fairy thing. Young Captain Hook will be voiced by Tom Hiddleston, and so there's a little bit of that there, but it's not a live action movie focused on a character like that. I think they would really have to be careful about that. It is possible for it to work with some of the villains, but not all of them. I think there's some that are best left mysterious. Keith writes in and says, what do you think it is about Frozen that has made it so popular and loved compared to other recent Disney animated films? Seems like every week I'm reading about how much money it has made and how well the soundtrack is selling. Yeah, that's definitely true. It is doing tremendously well. Tangled was a big success as well. Wreck-It Ralph did fairly well. Princess and the Frog, not so much, which of the ones that I just named, Princess and the Frog is actually my personal favorite. But that aside, Frozen is doing well. I think for a variety of reasons. I think it's a unique story. There's that sister bond there that we haven't really seen in a Disney princess type film before. So that's a huge element of it. Disney has gone back to Broadway on this one. I mean, it did very well for Beauty and the Beast years and years ago, and now they've really enlisted the talent of songwriters and actors and singers from Broadway to make a movie that, I mean, it really feels Broadway all the way through, and of course it's destined to go there eventually. So that's a big part of it as well. That crowd has latched onto it. The lyrics of Let It Go, the song itself, has really hit home with a lot of people, not in the sense that they all want to become the Ice Queen and build an ice castle in the mountains somewhere, but that they can apply the message behind that song to their own lives. And anytime that can resonate, a song can resonate with people so well, that's a great way for a film to be successful also. I think without that song, the soundtrack would have been good, but not nearly the blockbuster that it has become. So it's just sort of the right combination of elements, and it's clear that Disney wasn't anticipating it either. I think everyone at Disney thought and hoped it would do well, like Tangled well, but I don't know that any of them anticipated it to become a monumental phenomenon like it has. Just look at merchandise availability. It's non-existent. It's very difficult to find Frozen merchandise because it's it's flying off the shelves so quickly. And as you mentioned, the soundtrack is selling very well, and I'm sure the Blu-ray is going to be sold out in 10 seconds when it hits the store shelves. So it's just one of those things that it's hard to say exactly what makes it happen. It just, the right set of things came together, and Disney's very happy about it, and hopefully it means many, many good things to come in the future from Disney Animation. Stephanie from Michigan writes in, saying, first, I would like to give you most sincere thanks for creating such a wonderful show. Last year, my husband and I took our 20-month-old daughter to Disney World for the first time. The tips and ideas that we received from listening to your show were invaluable to the success of our trip. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we are planning on coming back to Disney World this year with our daughter in October, and we're wondering if you knew when the Magic Kingdom would be decorated for Halloween. Also, what is the weather like in October? Should we be worried about rain and hurricanes? Stephanie, first, thanks for the thanks. I'm glad I was able to help you make your trip that much better. As far as October goes, great time to be here. Certainly throughout the entire month of October, Magic Kingdom will have that Halloween flair to it. All of those decorations go up in mid to even early September. It's quite a long Halloween season, which is fine by me. So you'll surely see those decorations without a problem any time in October. The weather in October can be all over the place, as is generally the case all year in Florida. I mean, just this week, we've gone from being in like the 40s now to the 80s in the span of a couple of days. So it really is all over the place here in October. You've got days where you need to bundle up and you're cold, and it feels like fall or even winter, whereas other days it can be really hot and sticky and shorts weather, and you want to go in the pool and you're sweating, and it feels like summer. So you don't know. As far as rain and hurricanes, there's usually not a ton of rain in October. It does happen sometimes. Sometimes we get a particularly wet October, and it'll happen sort of in the later portion of the day. I wouldn't worry about it as much as if you were coming during the summer. Hurricanes, always a possibility, but it's been really, really light on the hurricane seasons over the last, 8-9 years. We haven't had any major hurricanes come to Florida in that long. Some would say maybe we're due, but hopefully not. It's completely unpredictable. It's not something you should even worry about. Don't think about. Technically, yes, October is in hurricane season, but it's not likely. If you happen to be here during a storm, it's just really, really bad luck. So hopefully that helps for this year's trip. Next email is from, actually voicemail from Jeremy.
Greetings, this is Jeremy from the Neverland Podcast. I'm putting out an all-points bulletin to be on the lookout for Hugh Neversaw. His nefarious schemes could be the only reason that Ricky is now covering Universal so much, from Halloween Horror Nights to the City Walk to Diagon Alley. Somebody better call Mark and Jay and let them know their arch enemy has returned. Oh, and P.S., keep covering Diagon Alley. That sounds awesome.
Jeremy, thanks very much for that call. Yeah, it's true. I think Hugh Neversaw has invaded, and it's because of what I said earlier. Tremendous amounts of money is being poured into the Universal parks, and it's really exciting. I think, sure, I could sit here and talk about Disney endlessly every week, but that would be ignoring some of the most major things that are going on in the world of theme parks and themed entertainment, and I don't feel that would be, it just wouldn't be right to ignore all of that. I mean, you can, how long could I possibly talk about the Festival of Fantasy Parade coming in a month and a half or whenever it is? How long could I possibly talk about the Mine Train that's been under construction, Seven Dwarves Mine Train, under construction of the Magic Kingdom for a long time, and it's finally showing up in, 3 or 4 months. There's nothing else for me to say right now about those projects, and other than that, Disney is staying very tight-lipped as far as what they are working on. I'm confident that there are major, awesome, amazing, incredible projects that Disney is working on right now. They're trying to figure out exactly what that means and what they're going to do and where they're going to do it. But it's on the way. And in the meantime, Universal has grasped the spotlight. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter opening 4 years ago was arguably the biggest thing to ever come to a theme park. And so, how could I not continue to watch Diagon Alley come to form, even if you're not the biggest Harry Potter fan, even if you're like, oh, that Universal thing, who cares? do yourself a favor and check it out. It's at least for a comparison perspective, because it's going to be something pretty awesome. So yeah, as long as there's more going on over there than at Walt Disney World, my attention, my focus is going to be on wherever the most exciting things are, and that is exactly where it is right now. Next email is from Dustin, who writes, I'm a huge fan of the show. I've been listening since May. Follow your Twitter posts. I've been thinking about going about the Haunted Mansion. After you mentioned the house in Georgia, I've never been to the parks. However, I've seen the videos in the mansion. They don't do much with the queue and exit areas. Disney has several creepy characters in their library that they don't use much. In these areas, they could have meet and greets. They can use characters like Jack, Sally, Oogie Boogie, the Headless Horseman, less mainstream villains, etc. A museum of sorts. Inside, I can see cameos like the lonesome ghost peeking their head through the doors, dancing skeletons like the skeleton dance, the Notre Dame gargoyles. I can see this more at Walt Disney World since California has the holiday. The Florida Mansion is a colonial home, so the Horseman could work. Also, did you hear about Guillermo del Toro's Haunted Mansion movie in the works? So, Dustin, first, just to be your last question, del Toro's movie is quote-unquote in the works. I haven't really heard any updates recently other than it's still being worked on, so not much to say there. Interesting thoughts about the mansion. It wouldn't really fit in to the story of the Haunted Mansion specifically. I think it's great that they've kept sort of those areas Disney character-free, if you will, like sort of the animated character. Obviously, there are characters in the Haunted Mansion, but they are theme park characters. They're not movie characters. But an add-on like that, of course, I would be all for that. Yes, bring me a Liberty Square rotating meet and greet of that type of spooky character theme. Yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, Oogie Boogie, when they had him for the Friday the 13th Villains event at Hollywood Studios, was incredible. The line to meet him, this was sort of one night for a few hours meet and greet, was huge. And then Jack and Sally were out night after night after night for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and the lines to meet them were huge as well. So, sure, I would love to see more of the villains and more of all of that. And, if you can tie it in near the Haunted Mansion somehow, that would be cool as well. I don't see any of that happening anytime soon, unfortunately, but I love the ideas. Here's an email from a response to last week, I believe, on the show. Bobby writes in and says, last week a listener was looking for an all-encompassing book containing the secrets of Walt Disney World, and although this is far from complete, this book pointed out a number of ones I never noticed. The production quality is somewhat lacking, but it is still an informative and enjoyable read, and the book is called Walt Disney World Hidden History. And he sent me a link to find it on Amazon. So there's an example. I know nothing about it personally, but at least one listener recommends it. Couple more emails and we'll wrap this up. Kirsten writes in and says, I'm a Florida resident who makes frequent trips to Walt Disney World, typically at least one visit a week. My Sweet 16 is coming up on March 24th, and I wanted to make a trip to one of the parks, as usual, to celebrate. Can you make any suggestions on something special I can do, such as dining events, birthday perks, etc., without breaking the bank? Tips for any of the four parks will do just fine. Kirsten, happy early birthday to you. Certainly a big one to celebrate, and good way to do it. Go to the parks, absolutely. And this is some advice that I give to just about everybody who writes in with this same type of question, whether it's an anniversary or it's a wedding, it's a celebrating your 78th step or so. I don't know. I'm just making things up here. Whenever you're celebrating anything, tell everybody you can find. Wear your birthday button. I don't know. Get a birthday hat. Get a birthday something. Make it obvious that it is your birthday. And the birthday perks, as you put it, may just come to you. Cast members will certainly say happy birthday all day long, to the point where you're going to be ready to rip the thing off of you because you don't want to hear it anymore. So there's that. But you might, all of a sudden get something on the house or on the mouse, if you will. That's always fun. Certainly if you're going to be staying at a hotel while you're in the area. I don't know if you will. You said you're a Florida resident, but if you are, make sure to mark that on your reservation as well. Tell them at check-in. Let them know that it is your birthday. And you mentioned dining as well, and this would apply not so much to counter service necessarily, but for table service. If you are going to get a special dinner somewhere, even if you're in the parks, Epcot certainly has a wide variety of restaurants to choose from there. Mention it to your server, and there's a good chance you'll get a little bonus dessert at the end coming out of it. In the nicer restaurants, you could actually get a pretty nice dessert on the house again. So yeah, as far as anything beyond that, special events and that type of thing, a lot of the more hardcore, if you will, things that you can schedule do require a bit of an investment to actually make a sort of a party out of it. I mean, Disney will go above and beyond to make really awesome things happen. They've got a special events team that is pretty incredible. Florists and decorators, and I mean, they can make just about anything happen for the right price, but it sounds like that's not what you're interested in. So my advice is definitely just make it well known that it is indeed your birthday before and during your trip, and chances are you'll walk away with quite a happy birthday. And actually, that is it for listener feedback this week. So there we are, end of show 461. Gonna go off and watch some commercials for a football game thing in a little while. Yay, team, go. So that's going on today. In the near future, some exciting things happening this week that are not Disney. We've got the official opening of Antojitos, the Mexican restaurant over at City Walk, so I'll be able to offer some more thoughts on that. I know I talked about sort of the preview that they gave a couple of weeks ago, but it'll be good to sort of sit down and really see what that restaurant is all about. And as more and more shows up at City Walk, it makes me really excited for what's coming to Disney Springs. Disney is a little bit slow going with the construction over there. They're working on parking garages right now, but haven't really announced anything that'll be coming to those areas as far as shopping and dining and whatever else they're going to be putting in there. But so watching, sort of the additions to Universal Orlando City Walk is interesting to see now, because it'll give some perspective to what Disney is going to be doing a little bit later, and seeing if they're going to go in the same direction, creating these unique experiences as Universal is doing with these restaurants that are made just for them, or if Disney's going to bring in some really awesome chain restaurants or high upscale big celebrity chefs or that kind of thing. I'm definitely excited about it. So that's coming up, and some other fun. I'm going to Toy Fair in a couple of weeks, so I'm sure I'll have some fun Disney products to report on. Maybe they'll hold another cool special event. Haven't heard anything yet, like they did for Monsters University last year. I don't know. We'll see. Looking forward to all of that. So there's always something to look forward to in this whole world of themed entertainment and all that good stuff. I do want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their services by visiting magicaltravel.com. And also, between episodes of this show, be sure to check out our website, InsideTheMagic.net, to find all of our podcasts and photos and videos and articles. And I'm working on some pretty cool photo stuff that'll be posting in the next few weeks, so look for that, as vague as that sounds. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube as well to keep up with all the fun all week long. So thanks to all of you for listening each and every week, and have a magical week. Bye.
There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.